Welcome to Golden Age Gardening. I'm William Scott, and we're about to transform your outdoor space into something magical. Imagine stepping outside your door and being surrounded by waves of color, intoxicating fragrances, and the gentle hum of butterflies and bees dancing through billowing flowers. That's the enchantment of a genuine cottage garden, a space where nature's beauty meets thoughtful design. Right here, right now, we're going to explore 15 spectacular plants that will bring that romantic, overflowing garden aesthetic straight to your backyard. If you're excited about creating a landscape that looks like it belongs in the English countryside, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for Golden Age Gardening. Trust me, you'll want to catch every episode as we dive deeper into creating gardens that truly inspire. And don't forget to smash that like button. It helps more garden lovers discover these incredible tips. Let's jump straight into these botanical beauties. Before we get into specific plants, let's talk about what makes a cottage garden special. According to horticulture specialists like Laura Irish Hansen from the University of Minnesota Extension, cottage gardening might appear spontaneous and wild, but successful cottage gardens require careful planning. The magic happens when you thoughtfully consider color combinations, textural contrasts, plant heights, and how different species interact throughout the growing season. Unlike rigid formal gardens with their precise geometric patterns, cottage gardens celebrate a softer, more natural aesthetic. Think abundance rather than restraint. Think layers of blooms spilling over pathways. Think mixing edible herbs with ornamental flowers. This gardening style originated centuries ago when English cottagers maximized limited space by growing practical herbs and vegetables alongside beautiful flowers, creating landscapes that were both productive and stunning. Cottage garden flower number 1, English lavender. We're starting strong with an absolute cottage garden essential, lavender. This Mediterranean native brings so much to your landscape. Those silvery green stems topped with fragrant purple flower spikes create that classic romantic look everyone loves. Lavender thrives in zones 5 through 10, which means most gardeners across North America can successfully grow this wonder plant. Once established, lavender becomes incredibly low maintenance. It handles blazing sun without complaint and actually prefers lean, well-drained soil. In fact, one of the biggest mistakes gardeners make is overwatering lavender. This plant evolved in rocky Mediterranean hillsides and despises soggy roots. Plant lavender along walkways where you'll brush against it and release that incredible scent. Use it as a border plant, defining different garden sections. Position it where it receives at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily and watch it flourish year after year. Mature plants typically reach about 2 feet tall with similar width, creating perfect rounded mounds of texture. Beyond beauty, lavender serves practical purposes. Harvest the flower stems for dried arrangements that maintain their fragrance for months. Create homemade sachets to freshen drawers and closets. Infuse the flowers into honey, sugar, or even cocktails. And remember, before you leave this video, drop a comment below telling us your favorite way to use lavender. We love hearing from our Golden Age gardening community. Cottage garden flower number 2, Culinary Sage. Sage deserves more appreciation as an ornamental plant. Yes, it's fantastic for seasoning Thanksgiving turkey, but those purple tubular blooms create incredible vertical interest in cottage gardens. Garden designer Lara Janey emphasizes that sage attracts beneficial pollinators in droves, supporting the entire garden ecosystem. Hardy across zones 4 to 10, sage develops into a small shrubby perennial, reaching roughly 2 feet tall and spreading 3 feet wide. The grayish-green foliage provides wonderful contrast against brighter green plants, and when those flower spikes emerge, you'll see bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds visiting constantly. Like lavender, sage prefers full sun and well-drained conditions. Moderate watering keeps plants healthy without causing root problems. Position sage in the middle layers of your cottage garden, where its mounding habit can fill space between taller background plants and lower ground covers. If you're enjoying these cottage garden secrets, make sure you're subscribed to Golden Age Gardening. We're building an amazing community of passionate gardeners, and we'd love to have you with us. Cottage garden flower number 3, Heritage Roses. No cottage garden achieves authenticity without roses. These classic beauties have graced cottage gardens for centuries, and modern varieties offer incredible disease resistance while maintaining that old-fashioned charm. Rose versatility is remarkable. They grow successfully from zone 3 to zone 11 depending on variety selection. Shrub roses typically reach 3 to 5 feet tall, perfect for creating hedges or focal points. Climbing varieties can soar to 11 feet or higher, spectacular when trained over arbors, trellises, or cottage walls. Roses demand full sun for best flowering. Aim for at least 6 hours daily. They prefer slightly acidic, well-draining soil. Contrary to popular belief, established roses don't require daily watering. Deep watering once or twice weekly encourages strong root development. Choose disease-resistant varieties to minimize maintenance headaches. David Austin English roses perfectly capture cottage garden aesthetics with their full, fragrant blooms. Knockout roses offer continuous flowering with minimal care. Explore antique rose varieties for authentic period charm and incredible fragrance that modern hybrids sometimes lack. Cottage garden flower number 4, romantic clematis. Clematis vines bring vertical drama that cottage gardens crave. These flowering climbers produce abundant blooms from late spring through fall, available in purple, pink, white, blue, and even yellow varieties. Thriving in zones 3 to 10, clematis typically grows 7 to 10 feet tall, though some varieties stretch even further. Train them up trellises, arbors, fences, or let them scramble through large shrubs for that naturalized look. Clematis has specific preferences. They like their head in the sun and feet in the shade, meaning the vines need sunlight while roots prefer cool, shaded soil. Mulch heavily around the base to maintain root coolness. Plant them in pH-neutral soil and provide consistent moisture without waterlogging. Regular pruning maintains plant health and encourages abundant flowering, though pruning requirements vary by clematis group. Research your specific variety's needs for best results. The spectacular floral display makes any extra effort worthwhile. Those large, showy flowers create unforgettable garden moments. Cottage garden flower number 5, native coneflowers. Coneflowers, also called echinacea, bring bold color and native plant benefits to cottage gardens. These North American natives have evolved to thrive in our climate, making them exceptionally low maintenance once established. Garden designer Laura Janey calls coneflowers prolific bloomers that continue flowering from summer through frost. They're available in traditional purple, plus yellows, oranges, reds, and whites. The distinctive cone-shaped centers, surrounded by reflexed petals, create architectural interest. Hardy across zones 3 to 9, coneflowers reach 3 to 4 feet tall with approximately 1 foot spread. Position them in the middle layer of cottage gardens, where they provide impact without overwhelming smaller plants. They tolerate various soil types as long as drainage is adequate, and they handle summer heat and drought remarkably well once roots establish. Coneflowers make exceptional cut flowers. Bring that cottage garden charm indoors. Deadhead spent blooms to encourage continued flowering, or leave seed heads standing in fall to feed goldfinches and other songbirds. The dried seed heads also provide winter garden interest. Share this video with fellow gardeners who'd appreciate these cottage garden ideas. Let's spread the gardening love through the Golden Age gardening community. Cottage garden flower number 6, spectacular peonies. Peonies represent cottage garden luxury. Those massive, often fragrant blooms in whites, pinks, corals, yellows, and deep reds create show-stopping moments in late spring and early summer. Growing successfully in zones 3 to 8, peonies develop into substantial shrubby perennials reaching 1 to 3 feet tall with similar spread. While individual plants bloom for just 2 to 3 weeks, strategic planting of early, mid-season, and late varieties extends the peony season across 6 to 8 weeks. Peonies demand full sun for best performance, at least 6 hours daily. They need well-draining soil and actually prefer being planted shallowly, with eyes, growing points, just 1 to 2 inches below soil surface. Deep planting is the #1 reason peonies fail to bloom. Established peonies can live for decades, even generations, making them exceptional long-term investments. They require minimal maintenance once settled, just occasional division if they become overcrowded. The stunning blooms make fantastic cut flowers, filling rooms with fragrance. Support cages prevent flower-laden stems from flopping after heavy rain. Cottage garden flower number 7, creeping thyme. Thyme serves double duty as both culinary herb and ornamental ground cover. This low-growing perennial reaches just 4 to 5 inches tall, but spreads 3 to 4 feet wide, perfect for filling gaps between stepping stones or cascading over retaining walls. Hardy across zones 5 to 9, thyme handles hot, dry conditions beautifully. In fact, overwatering causes more thyme problems than drought. Plant it in full sun to part sun with excellent drainage. Sandy or gravelly soils work wonderfully. When thyme blooms in late spring, the tiny flowers attract beneficial insects, including bees. The aromatic foliage releases fragrance when stepped on or brushed against, adding another sensory dimension to cottage gardens. Different thyme varieties offer varied leaf colors and growth habits. Explore creeping thyme, woolly thyme, and lemon thyme for diversity. Harvest thyme sprigs freely for cooking. Regular trimming actually encourages denser growth and prevents woody stems from developing. Thyme pairs beautifully with other Mediterranean herbs like lavender, sage, and rosemary. If you're getting great information here at Golden Age Gardening, give us a thumbs up. It really helps William Scott and our team create more valuable content for passionate gardeners like you. Cottage garden flower number 8, reliable salvia. Salvia earns its place through sheer reliability. This hardworking perennial blooms prolifically, handles various conditions, and rarely suffers pest or disease problems. Laura Janey highlights salvia as an early spring bloomer that provides color when most perennials haven't awakened yet. Growing across zones 3 to 9, salvia varieties range from compact 18-inch plants to substantial 5-foot specimens. The vertical flower spikes in blues, purples, pinks, and whites create wonderful height variation. Pollinators absolutely adore salvia. You'll see constant bee and butterfly activity around these plants. Salvia adapts to full sun or part sun locations and tolerates various soil types with decent drainage. Moderate watering keeps plants happy, though many salvias handle drought once established. Deadheading spent flower spikes encourages additional bloom cycles throughout summer. For beginning cottage gardeners, salvia represents an excellent choice. It's forgiving of mistakes, performs reliably year after year, and delivers impressive visual impact with minimal effort. Cottage garden flower number 9, shade-loving astilbe. Most cottage garden plants crave sunshine, but astilbe thrives in partial shade to full shade, solving the common problem of what to plant in darker garden corners. Those distinctive feathery plumes in pinks, whites, and reds bloom throughout summer and into fall. Hardy in zones 3 to 9, astilbe typically reaches 3 feet tall with roughly 2.5-foot spread. The ferny foliage provides beautiful texture even when plants aren't blooming. Position astilbe near the back of shade gardens where their height creates backdrop interest. Unlike many cottage garden plants, astilbe requires consistent moisture. They don't tolerate drought well. Plant them in shade where soil stays naturally moist or commit to regular watering during dry spells. Rich organic soil encourages vigorous growth and abundant flowering. Leave dried astilbe flowers standing through winter for architectural interest. Those brown plumes look magical, dusted with snow or frost. Cut back dead foliage in early spring before new growth emerges.
Cottage garden flower number 10, cheerful poppies. Poppies bring carefree charm to cottage gardens. Those crepe paper-like petals in nearly every color imaginable dance on tall stems above ferny foliage. Both annual and perennial species exist, giving gardeners options for different situations. Growing successfully in zones 2 to 9 depending on species, poppies typically reach 3 to 4 feet tall with up to 18-inch spread. They're easily started from seed. Simply scatter seed over prepared soil in fall or early spring. Poppies dislike transplanting, so direct seeding works best. Poppies prefer full sun and well-drained soil. They actually perform better in lean soil than overly fertile conditions. Water lightly. Poppies handle drought better than wet feet. Deadheading encourages additional flowering, though many gardeners leave some seed heads to self-sow for next year's display. Oriental poppies are perennial powerhouses, returning reliably each spring. California poppies work wonderfully as drought-tolerant annuals. Icelandic poppies offer delicate beauty for cooler climates. Don't forget to comment below with your favorite cottage garden flower so far, and make sure you've subscribed to Golden Age Gardening for more inspiring garden content. Cottage garden flower number 11, Sweet Alyssum. Sweet Alyssum provides low-growing charm with incredible fragrance. Those tiny honey-scented flowers in white, pink, or purple create billowing clouds of color along garden edges or filling gaps between larger plants. Growing in zones 5 to 9, Alyssum reaches just 9 inches tall, but spreads 4 inches or more, creating effective ground cover. In zones 9 and 10, Alyssum grows as a perennial, but elsewhere it's treated as an annual that readily self-sows, often returning year after year without replanting. Alyssum prefers full sun but tolerates light shade. It adapts to various soil types with adequate drainage. Moderate watering keeps plants blooming prolifically. When summer heat slows flowering, shear plants back by half. They'll quickly regrow and bloom again through fall. Plant Alyssum along pathways where you'll catch that sweet fragrance. Use it as edging for cottage garden beds or let it self-sow into cracks between pavers for naturalized charm. The continuous blooms attract beneficial insects, including hoverflies that prey on aphids.
Cottage garden flower number 12, unique pincushion flower. Pincushion flower, properly called scabiosa, creates unusual textural interest. Those globular blooms really do resemble antique pincushions, giving cottage gardens distinctive character. Garden designer Laura Janney praises their long blooming period with proper deadheading. Hardy across zones 3 to 7, pincushion flower reaches 2 to 3 feet tall with approximately 1 foot spread. The flowers come in blues, purples, pinks, whites, and deep burgundies. Butterflies and bees visit constantly, making pincushion flower valuable for pollinator gardens. Plant pincushion flower in full sun with well-draining soil. Light watering keeps plants content without causing root problems. Deadhead spent blooms regularly. Cut stems back to the crown or next leaf set. This encourages continuous flowering from late spring through fall frost. Pincushion flowers make excellent cut flowers, lasting well in arrangements. Their unusual form adds interest to mixed bouquets. These low-maintenance perennials deserve wider use in cottage gardens. Cottage garden flower number 13, textural yarrow. Yarrow, also known as milfoil, brings distinctive ferny foliage and flat-topped flower clusters to cottage gardens. This North American native handles tough conditions while providing long-lasting color from early summer through fall. Growing in zones 3 to 9, yarrow typically reaches 3 feet tall with similar spread. The flowers come in traditional yellow and white, plus modern varieties in pinks, reds, and peaches. Those fuzzy, aromatic leaves create wonderful textural contrast against broader-leaved plants. Garden designer Laura Janney recommends newer varieties like New Vintage that resist flopping and offer extended bloom periods. Yarrow thrives in full sun with well-draining soil and moderate water. It actually performs better in average soil than overly fertile conditions, which can cause weak, floppy growth. Deadhead yarrow after initial flowering to encourage a second bloom flush in late summer. The dried flower heads provide fall and winter interest if left standing. Yarrow handles drought exceptionally well once established, making it valuable for water-wise cottage gardens. Cottage garden flower number 14, dramatic foxglove. Foxglove creates vertical drama that defines cottage garden style. Those towering flower spikes in purples, pinks, whites, yellows, and peaches rise 2 to 5 feet tall, creating unforgettable garden moments when backlit by evening sun. Growing successfully in zones 4 to 9, foxglove typically acts as a biennial, producing foliage the first year and flowering the second before setting seed and dying. However, foxglove readily self-sows, creating the appearance of being perennial as new plants continuously replace older ones. Foxglove adapts to full sun or partial shade, though afternoon shade helps in hot climates. Well-draining soil and light watering keep plants thriving. They're generally pest-resistant, and deer and rabbits usually avoid them. Important note: all foxglove parts are toxic if ingested. Don't plant foxglove near edible herbs or vegetables where confusion might occur. Keep children and pets away from these plants. Despite toxicity concerns, foxglove remains a cottage garden essential. Those magnificent flower spikes are simply irreplaceable. If this information is helping you plan your dream cottage garden, share this golden age gardening video with friends who'd appreciate it. Let's grow our gardening community together. Cottage garden flower number 15, native penstemon. We're finishing with penstemon, also called bearded tongue, another North American native that thrives in cottage gardens. Those tubular glowers arranged on tall spikes come in reds, pinks, purples, blues, and whites, blooming prolifically throughout summer. Hardy across zones 4 to 9, penstemon reaches 1 to 2 feet tall with similar spread. Some varieties offer dark purple foliage that creates stunning contrast against typical green garden plants. The tubular flowers attract hummingbirds along with bees and butterflies. Penstemon handles heat and drought exceptionally well once established, making it valuable for water-wise landscapes. It doesn't require rich, fertile soil.
Average garden soil works perfectly. Plant penstemon in full sun to part shade, with well-draining conditions and light watering. Dead heads spent flower spikes to encourage additional blooming. Cut plants back by 1/3 after initial flowering for bushier growth and fall rebloom. Penstemon generally requires minimal maintenance while delivering maximum impact. Now that you know these 15 exceptional plants, let's talk about combining them successfully. Cottage gardens work best with layered planting, taller plants like foxglove and delphiniums toward the back, medium-height plants like coneflower and peonies in middle layers, and low growers like thyme and alyssum along edges. Consider bloom timing when selecting plants. Early bloomers like peonies and salvia provide spring color. Summer brings roses, coneflowers, and yarrow. Late bloomers like astilbe and penstemon extend interest into fall. Overlapping bloom periods create continuous color throughout the growing season. Color coordination matters in cottage gardens despite their informal appearance. You might choose cool tone palettes with purples, blues, and whites, or warm schemes featuring yellows, oranges, and reds. Pastel combinations create romantic softness. Bold, saturated colors make dramatic statements. Whatever palette you choose, repeat key colors throughout the garden for cohesion. Texture variation prevents monotony. Combine ferny foliage like yarrow with bold leaves like peonies. Mix fine-textured thyme with coarser sage. Include both mounding plants and vertical spikes. This textural diversity creates visual interest even when fewer plants are blooming. Remember that cottage gardens celebrate abundance. Don't be afraid to let plants intermingle and overflow boundaries. Self-sowing plants like poppies and alyssum create happy accidents that enhance the naturalized aesthetic. That controlled wildness defines authentic cottage garden style. Thank you for joining William Scott and the entire Golden Age gardening team for this cottage garden journey. If you found this valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Drop a comment telling us which plants you're most excited to try. We read every comment and love connecting with our community. Keep growing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next Golden Age gardening video. Until then, happy planting.